Podcast. I'm Shane, and as with me as always is Trey.
Yo, what's the word, everybody? We are back with another edition of the West Coast Podcast. Coming to you a little bit early today, but, get in here early, leave a little bit early. That's what I do at my regular job. Come in 5 minutes early and then leave 5 minutes early, so kind of the idea that we're rolling with here, but trying to get you guys these podcasts once every other Fridays with my guy, Shane Guy11. Shout out to him for having me on and all that. He's been doing his thing. He participated in a tournament that did not go well. I was kind of in and out of the stream. I seen what was going on, and I think he played V8 Dimes. If I want to say that was the guy that he played, but his gamer tag was V8B, I believe. So shout out to Rose and everyone else. You had like 4 or 5 people, so that's pretty consistent, I would say. For a streamer that's kind of starting to just start out with being consistent and having 4 to 5 people in every single time. I think that's a pretty good start, especially at this time of the year when Madden has kind of reached its dead period. But with all that being said, it's been 2 weeks. We got on this podcast and it was Super Bowl weekend, and the Eagles absolutely smacked the dog S. I stopped myself from cussing out of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes was looking lost, like a chicken with his head cut off. And we made a bet. We asked. We were like, so Donald Trump and Taylor Swift is going to be at this game. Who's going to be shown more? And by my recollection, because I was keeping track throughout the whole thing, we got a tie. They showed Taylor twice and they showed Trump twice, and I was honestly surprised by that. I thought Trump would definitely want to be featured more in the public eye and the spotlight, but they definitely didn't do that. But as far as the game goes, what I seen was the Philly defense absolutely making Mahomes uncomfortable when you got that defense and you got the pick six by Cooper DeJean, which was huge. And I think, Kansas City seemed to me, I think they're kind of a team to where once it snowballs, I don't think they have the ability to gather themselves and fight back after getting beat down. I think once they start losing, they go into the tank and kind of piss down their leg a little bit. And really, they haven't had to face any adversity. And I'm not saying like, oh, they blow teams out, because they've been in pretty much every game they played this year. It's been down to the wire within one possession, but they really haven't had to fight back like how Tom Brady did when he was down 28-3. And I know that's kind of, unrealistic and extreme example, but I didn't even think like, even when Kansas City were starting to get stuff going in phases, it never seemed like Patrick Mahomes was going to be able to arise and fight back. Whereas Tom Brady, you were never comfortable when it was Tom Brady. You're like, it's still going to be a game, no matter what. But with all that being said, Kansas City does not get the three-peat. They do not. The dynasty is still alive, I think, but Philly, the Phillies general manager is probably the best one. With all the signings they got, and Saquon was pretty much a non-factor, but Jalen Hurts, boy, he was locked in that game, and I was very impressed with Jalen Hurts and how he was able to diagnose the Steve Spagnuolo defensive side of things. So that was a long intro, and I'm gonna throw it over to my guy Shane. Shane, you watched the Super Bowl. Give me your version of the synopsis of the game.
Oh, appreciate it, Trey. What's up, bros? Appreciate you being in here like always. Like I really do. Like, and Trey can back that up. I always appreciate when you guys come in, and then with the West Coast podcast, I always appreciate like you, Rose, supporting Trey and I. Trey, I mean, you basically got over it. You basically did what like we all saw. The defense won the game for me, in my opinion, for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Phillies defense, the Eagles defense dominated. I mean, they only had to do a four-man rush the whole time. They could have seven in coverage. I mean, that's a big deal. It reminded me of the Seahawks defense against Denver in the Super Bowl about 10, 11 years ago. Seattle dominated a little bit more, but it was close enough. It was like really you could have put any QB. Like I know like you were giving Hurts his props. I mean, I don't remember his stat line. I know he had a pick, maybe a couple touchdowns. I don't remember. All I remember is the defense really killed Mahomes, and Mahomes' numbers in the Super Bowl aren't that great. They really aren't that great. People, if they want to get upset, they can fact check me, and then they can email me. Look at it. It's like 1-to-1 numbers, one touchdown to one pick. But anyways, yeah, that's it about the Super Bowl. Basically, it was a domination, and then tonight I had the tournament. Trey, you were close. It was VA Beach. He's friends with VA Dimes and VA Assassin and all them. He ended up making the Elite Eight, and he lost a yardstick. And then Bobby or I Geezy ended up winning the tournament today. I Geezy got the championship. Yardstick got second. Bobby got third. Yeah, VA Beach basically did a direct snap to the running back, and it kind of dumbs out your defense. I didn't get to see how Yardstick shut it down because he absolutely got blasted by Yardstick VA Beach, but VA Beach beat the living crap out of Bugs Trey. I mean, he blasted Bugs, and it was kind of funny and kind of whatever because Bugs was the guy that I played that he beat me in the gauntlet 13-8, and I ran all over him, and he was like, "Oh, I could have stopped the run if I wanted to. I wasn't trying." VA Beach ran all over him, all over him. He had no clue. But like to be fair, the HB direct snap is like it's a weird little glitch. Like I'm not entirely sure how you stop it. Rose tried to say do the crossfire, which it did get a little bit more pressure, but I just don't know how to stop it. And nobody that I asked knows how to stop it either. Like it basically, I was interested to see how Yardstick stopped it. Unfortunately, I got busy during that time. But other than that, Trey, yeah, I've been pretty good, man. Been trying to be in the gym again. I've been in there the last like month, couple months maybe, going like 3, 4 times a week. But how about you, Trey? How you been?
Yeah, so going off of what you said about Jalen Hurts, and yeah, the defense definitely did its thing. I mean, they've been dominant pretty much the whole season, but Shane, as you know, it's not just football, but everything in life we have to collaborate and work together. There is nothing that gets done in life without the collaboration. So I don't know if you knew that or not, but so yeah, I mean, I've been doing pretty good, and it's kind of funny you brought up, the direct snap to the running back because in college football they do a lot of the same thing. You shift your line to the left, and pretty difficult because when someone comes out in shotgun, you'll pinch your line, and then what I do is I pinch my line, and then I'll slide to the running back. I mean, unless they're running counter, which it's kind of rare. Like when someone comes out in shotgun, usually they just run to the left side. But they don't really cut back to the. I guess I don't know if you'd call it the weak side of the formation. So that's what I do, but then it makes it really difficult when you slide to the left, and then so you got to account for the running back direct snap, but then also they can obviously just go the other way and completely mess up your adjustments on that regard. So, but nah, I've just been doing chill, and it's always a good time to get back into the podcast and do all that stuff with you. I do want to ask you, Shane, what was your take on the Kendrick Lamar halftime show? And is there any commercials that stood out? Because I've been trying to. I mean, granted, it was like 2 weeks ago, so obviously there's a lot of stuff that just kind of went over my head, but no real commercials that I can think of off the bat that really stuck with me. I know one that Bill Belichick was in. It was like a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, but I mean, other than that, not really. But I guess what was your take on the Kendrick Lamar halftime show? What?
It was good. It wasn't great to me. I mean, I could name three or four other Super Bowl halftimes that I enjoyed more. It wasn't terrible like some people said, and it wasn't the greatest of all time, at least in my humble opinion, like some say. It was good. It was it was just good to me. My favorite my favorite commercial is the singer seal. I don't know if you saw that where his head is his on a seal. That was funny as hell to me, and I don't know why that stuck with me. But yeah, that's basically what I thought overall. Like the Super Bowl concert, it was good, but it was I don't know. I won't be talking about it 5 years from now. I actually thought Usher's was better. I thought Prince's was better. Michael Jackson's was better. I like Rihanna's. I believe she did it, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I did you see the commercial tray with the seal as seal?
I'll have to definitely look back and see what you're talking about on that one. And yeah, because when you bring that up, I have no clue. But I mean, yeah, I mean the halftime show, it was what it was. I guess they were going for something different. And when someone tells me it's like, oh, it just went over your head, and I just assume it's like, okay, well, these guys are obviously way smarter than me, so. But I mean, I was pretty skeptical, and I think I even come on this podcast and I was like, it's like, man, like the number one song that everyone's talking about is the Drake diss, obviously, but I was kind of skeptical. Like, there was a lot of people that I've been, hearing saying like, oh no, he's not gonna do it because Drake is petty like that, and he's going to sue Kendrick if he does the song. So when he did it and the way that he did it, like with different parts and all that, it was pretty surprising to me. So that was kind of my reaction to it. I wasn't expecting that he would do it, but so yeah, I mean, I guess that's my whole conclusion on the Super Bowl and the NFL season in general. And it's going to be interesting. We're getting into free agency. We're getting into draft talk. It's way too early to talk about draft because we don't know the free agencies and who's going to sign where or whatever. But it's going to be pretty cool covering that when it does come. But Shane, since we got the NFL season closing out, and I've been curious because I know you're kind of a hockey guy. There's a local team in your area. I don't know if you feel comfortable saying the name or not, but I know you go to a lot of local hockey games in your area. And another game that I mean, I just heard. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but you had the United States and the Canadian hockey game. And I'm gonna ask you, did you watch that game, and kind of what's your take on that?
I'm comfortable saying it. Like, it's not a big deal. Yeah, we go to the Spokane Chiefs. They're one of the best hockey teams this year in the WHL, and hopefully they'll be playing for the Memorial Cup where they play like Canadian teams and all that. The Chiefs have won it a couple times, the Memorial Cup being the best team in that minor league area in the Western United States. And Western, I think it's Western Canada too. Um, yeah, I did watch it. It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, it was two great teams. The Americans won in the round robin, and then the Canadians won, Canada won in OT. They left a superstar wide open. It's like, letting Michael Jordan have a layup for a win, or, lobbing a ball in baseball to Babe Ruth, or whatever you want to say, or giving the ball to Derrick Henry, and I'm trying to tackle Derrick Henry. I mean, so it was that easy for the game winner, but it was fantastic, top tier hockey. So it was really, really good. Right, actually, I was gonna go back a little bit. Did you by chance see that the lawyer quit for Diddy and said he doesn't want to deal with it? It just is not right for him. I think it's way worse than people think.
Yeah, I've been kind of following it from afar, and from what I can gather, Shane is the big question mark I think right now is Jay-Z. I think there's speculation on if Jay-Z and how much he knew, and kind of the jury is still out on him. So is that pretty accurate? I didn't know about the whole lawyer thing, but you know, is the whole Jay-Z thing, is that kind of still up in the air?
I know that his rape case got dismissed, and they're like claiming that obviously the person was lying. I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not sure if that's a 13-year-old girl or a different case. I haven't heard much about Jay Z lately, so I don't know if that just was swept under the rug because he hung out with them. But like, you know, there's a lot of guilty people out there that saw stuff or did stuff out there that are celebrities. Like, people shouldn't be shocked anymore. Like I said, I've told the story about Bill Cosby plenty of times on this podcast, and people have talked about. So it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, Mr. Rogers, Steve Irwin, Bob Ross. Those were three guys that did great stuff for humanity, and nobody could dig up anything. But for the majority, like, you always have skeletons in your closet. Some might be much smaller than others. Some might be just like, wow. Nobody would have told me in 1990s, early 2000s that Bill Cosby would be a serial rapist. Nobody would have believed that. I would have went to jail. I'd have been put in an institution. They would have said I was crazy. I would have thought I was crazy. So like, I'm not really surprised when it comes out. Will it bum me out? Could it bum me out? Yeah, a little bit. Like, damn, man, I thought he was cool, or I thought she was cool. Oh well, and then I move on with my life. It's kind of like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, that's why I don't really I don't know if it's correct terminology, but I don't really fanboy over like celebrities. Meeting Mike Tyson was cool. It's a cool story to tell, but it's not like guys jumping up and down like some guys and girls were or would, or like, even like running into other people that are celebrity. I haven't met a celebrity yet that has made me fanboy. To me, it's they're just humans. It's cool to tell the story, Trey. It's cool to tell people just as a conversation topic, or a topic of conversation, excuse me. But like, in the end, it's not like I'm gonna be like, oh my god, like, celebrities are put on a pedestal. That people think that they're way better than you, or way better than people. And yes, for their job profession, yes, they're the elite of the elite, right? They're the one percenters. So yeah, it is like, yeah, they do something very, very well. But like, finding out like Denzel and Chris Tucker were hanging out with Diddy, and then Chris Tucker left acting for a little bit and then came back super religious and doesn't want to talk about anything about that stuff. Denzel saying, "Oh, I left before 12 a.m. because after 12 a.m. the devil comes out." Could he be innocent? Maybe, but then what does he know happens after 12 a.m.? You see what I'm saying, Trey? So to me, it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more people that we find out about, and I wouldn't be surprised if it gets swept under the rug and we don't really hear about it, kind of like Epstein.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of stuff gets swept under the rug, like you so eloquently stated. But and I see people on social media, whether it be YouTube, whatever, and they're like, "Oh my God, I met this celebrity," or watch this guy meet this celebrity," and I mean, I get the appeal and everything, but I always sit back and I wonder if do these guys like when they're freaking out about celebrities, I don't even think they're really that fan of a celebrity. I think they know that they are a celebrity and that's what makes them react like that. Like if they're like a musician or whatever actor, how much do they really know about their career to where they can have a reaction? Like they probably just know the basics of that celebrity and they know that they're famous and everything and that's why they react that way. It's not like they do real research and know this guy from top down. Is kind of what I'm saying, but like with the whole situation with R. Kelly, like why was that situation? Because I feel like with that situation, a lot of people just kind of took it at face value. People weren't really creating all these conspiracy theories, and people can say, "Oh, R. Kelly isn't as big as Diddy," but I mean, he was kind of up there. I mean, in his prime. I mean, he kind of, I don't know, he fell off popularity wise towards the end, but I mean, why do you think people took the R. Kelly story at face value, but when you have like this whole Diddy thing, people are throwing all these, conspiracy theories and saying everything's connected and it's all a big thing going on. What?
You know that that's really a good one to discuss. What you said, like why not like R. Kelly compared to Puffy and all that stuff, and I think it's because R. Kelly kind of fell out of the light, right? When it came out, people did talk about it for a little bit, but definitely not as much as P. Diddy. But see, I think with Diddy, bro, is the whole Tupac Shakur murder trial just happening, and then a bunch of people going on like the art dialogue or whatever it's called, and then what's the other one? I'm drawing a blank. The other famous guy. I listened to him. You do too.
Is it Vlad?
Yes, Vlad. Uh, so they go on and talk about it, and it was kept in the spotlight, right? You got Keefe D blabbing about, oh, Tupac was dancing like a ballerina trying to get out of the bullets' ways. He was trying to get a gun. Then, an outlaw, a former member of Tupac's group, would be like, yeah, this is what was going on. And then Keefe D got arrested. People were like, "Do you think P Diddy had anything to do with it?" Keefe D blamed Diddy, saying that he got offered the Crips $1 million to do it. Then he gets arrested, and then a little bit later, Diddy gets it. And I also think that there were more famous celebrities, Trey, and big names hanging around Diddy than R. Kelly. R. Kelly definitely had celebrity friends and people that hung around him that were celebrities. But I mean, Diddy was hanging around everyone from sports to politicians to you name it. So, I mean, I think it all just kind of like piled on, right? The Tupac murder case, Keefe D talking on podcasts, Outlaws doing that, other people talking about that, and Keefe D getting arrested, and then, and so on. And then Puffy's hanging out with celebrities and politicians and sports stars. So I think it was just magnified much more. And to go on your thing about like how I was talking about fanboying and you're talking about people being celebrities, I mean, it's even girls like for me, like when I was in high school and they'd have like certain celebrities as like hottest guy of the year, right? Or hottest this. And it's just like they get added points. So like not to disrespect anyone, not to be rude to anyone, but like let's say you're a 5 out of 10. 5 is average. Well, and then you become famous. You're like a famous celebrity. you're automatically given 2 3 points. So then you become a 7 or 8 to the eyes of the public. And so that's why I like with me, like when I see the magazines that had the girls or the guys on them, and I'd be like, yeah, they're good looking, but they're not the greatest looking. But people voted them as the greatest looking because they were the most popular at the time, right? And they were like a 7 or 8 out of 10, and then they became a 10 out of 10 because of how popular they are. But yeah, just to sum it up, Trey, with Puffy, I just think it's because he hung around with more of a variety of people.
Yeah, I got you on that. And it's wild because, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, R. Kelly, like you said, was definitely a polarizing figure. He was one of the top, but I guess a better way to explain it is he didn't have the pull, I guess is what you're trying to say. He didn't really have the power that Diddy had, where Diddy's power is a lot different because of all his affiliates and the people that he's good in the relationships that he's built over the years. Which, I mean, if we're being fair, that was probably what kind of got him over the hump to begin with, was creating relationships and building on that and expanding into sports and political figures and etc. So yeah, that definitely makes sense to me. And Shane's over here talking about when he had some groupies, he had some groupie love, groupie love going on. I mean, it's like, and even like you said, you're a five, but it's like even if like you're like the most attractive male in like your area, I mean, you probably still don't really get that much that someone who's like a six or a seven, that's a male, that's famous. And I mean, I guess it makes sense because they're around more people and stuff like that. But I just kind of found that interesting. Now on the female side of things, it's completely it's a little bit it's completely different with that. But so Shane, where are you at? Because we're talking about Diddy, but what do you think? Where does Suge fall in on this? I think a lot of people say that, oh, Suge is, just because I'll tell you my personal opinion, because I think that Suge is kind of the same as Diddy. Obviously a different situation, but if we're just kind of going off of, this guy's a POS and this guy's a POS, but for completely different reasons. I think Suge is for different reasons, but I think he's still kind of a POS. So what do you think about that?
That's a good one, and I'll get on it. Rose had a good one. Diddy's influence is much more widespread. There's a lot of behind the scenes where R. Kelly's crimes are a lot more public. I agreed with her on that. It's basically what we were saying, Trey, and what I added on. No, 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 bro. Like, I think here's where it is. Suge Knight set up a lot of things that led to people's deaths, led to people being hurt. The difference is everybody knew that Suge Knight was uh, a blood, a mob pyru. He put hits out on people. He'd do this. He'd beat you up. Where Puffy was more clean looking, if that makes sense. He was dancing in the videos. He was promoting peace. He was saying like, I don't know what Suge and Tupac's problems are, while Suge is, holding Vanilla Ice over the balcony, while Suge Knight's getting the home address of Puffy's mom at the time or whatever. So people just look at it like, well, Suge Knight was just out there. He's a gangbanger. He does that stuff. So they were more. I don't know how to say like used to it, or they weren't as shocked. That's a better term. They weren't shocked when Suge Knight ran over the guy's head and went to jail for it and killed him. Whereas like Puffy was like always promoting, like talking about peace and dancing in the videos and um meeting with Afeni Shakur and Valletta Wallace, who passed away today, Biggie's mom, and talking about like I wish it didn't happen to your sons and yada yada yada. And then the stories come out now that Puffy more likely tried to orchestrate the bounty on Tupac Shakur. So I just think it was like you got one guy who you knew what you were going to get from him. You knew who he was. And then the other guy you believed was a nice person who was just trying to promote peace and love and all that stuff. So that's where I think is the main difference, Trey.
Yeah, and I mean, the one thing about Suge is like no one can look at him and say that that guy wasn't for real. I mean, you talk about a guy that literally, from what we know, he makes eye contact with the person that did did what he did to his best friend, and he doesn't really do much about it. Well, he probably was trying to go a different route of what his version of justice would be versus what, like me, if I have a best friend and I know the person that did something bad to my best friend, I'm cooperating, I'm telling, the police everything. But I guess for some people, they want to handle it their own way, which is fine. But I mean, if you want to do that, don't come back 5, 10 years later and say the police didn't do anything when you didn't cooperate at first and you knew everything what would happen. So that's kind of my my whole thing on that. But Shane, we're talking about etiquette and controversy and this and that. It is my understanding, and you tested me on Friday, I think it was, or like last week. It was pretty recently. The days just kind of blend together for me at this point. But there was a situation at the gym that you wanted to touch on this podcast, and I want you to tell the people, the West Coast Podcast crew, the people that are going to watch this back in the archives about the encounters and just how inconsiderate these people are that attend the gym, if you could.
Yeah, I did text you, and you are right. I was trying to figure it out. When did I text? I think it was Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, Trey. I think it was Tuesday. I believe. I'm pretty sure it was Tuesday, but I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It was earlier this week though. Yeah. So basically, it's cold where I live. My car has like a timing belt where it squeals. I looked it up and they said warm up the car is better to make the car warm helps the belt. Whereas like in the summer, or warm weather, it won't squeal as much because it's less tight or whatever, something like that. Don't quote me exactly. So I go to the gym and it's packed. It's fully packed. There's the whole parking lot's full, except if you go around the building, which I've parked numerous times and just walked, like 3-4 minutes to the inside of the building. No big deal. It's not like it's far away, but in front of the building, the parking lot was completely full. So I come out, I get in my car, I look around, and I don't see anybody waiting. So I turn the car on. I'm like, I'm going to wait like 5 to 7 minutes, like I do, warm it up, and then I'll leave. Well, probably 5 to 7 minutes, roughly when I was going to look up and probably leave anyways, I was just finishing reading on my phone, and I hear a pound on my window, like a hard knock, but it wasn't like a polite knock. It was like kind of a hard knock, and it like startled me. And I look over, excuse me, I look over, and there's this big guy. He's probably like 6'2" to 6'3", maybe 6'4", but like 280 plus pounds. And he was like leaning towards my window. So I roll down the window, and I'm like, yes. And he's like, "Are you gonna leave?" Like that. That's how his voice was. "Are you gonna leave?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna leave." And he says, I think he said yes. Okay, thanks. Or no, he didn't say thanks. I'm being way nice. He said, "Are you gonna leave?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "I've been waiting 5 effing minutes." And I said, "Oh, my bad. I didn't know there was a time limit in the parking lot." Which I mean that was great sarcasm in my my defense. But he said, "Well, when the parking lot's full, you should show some effing respect," and like glared at me, and it got aggressive feeling. I felt like, oh, okay, you're being aggressive with me. You're being a dick, like you're not being really nice. So I said, or what? And he said, what, like that towards me. So I popped out of my car. I kind of snapped, and I was like, what or what? What the f are you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? And I started walking to him. I walking towards him, and he starts walking backwards. And I don't remember exactly because it's been a few days. I said something, and he popped back in the car, and he rolls up the window, and I said, "Roll your window down. Roll your window down." And he's like, "No, no, no." So I'm like, "Whatever," and I get in my car, right? So I back it up, and he pulls into my spot, but he gave me like less room to move out, so it was kind of a tight spot. So I had to reverse a little, then forward a little, and then reverse a little, and then forward a little. I finally get out. Well, as I started to get out, I noticed like a 25-year-old had leaned out of his car and asked the guy something like what happened or what was that about. I believe it was what was that about, and the big guy totally played the victim, and he was like, I don't know. I don't know. I just asked him to move, and he got super aggressive with me. I roll and I yelled out the window about like, "Hey, mother effer, don't involve other people. Don't get them involved in our fight. Don't talk that shit." Well, the dude who asked what was that about jumped back in his car and drove off. Like he wanted no parts in it. He wanted nothing to do with it. And the big guy was like shaking his head, like just like shaking his head, and he's going to the gym. Well, I park in the handicap spot, and I hop out because I was so heated, and so I go back into the gym, and I'm like, man, if he's gonna talk crap and be like, hey, blah blah blah, I'm gonna stick up for myself. Well, he just kept walking, so I was like, whatever. He didn't bring it up to the workers, so I just popped back in my car and drove off. Yeah, Rose, he was so rude, like it was crazy. And could I have handled myself better? Yeah, probably, for sure. And I'm better. I used to react even more like I was very poor reactor. Like I'd get heated if I felt any aggression. I'd get super aggressive when I was younger. I'd get in way more fights in my 20s and up to my early 30s. Now I try to be better. Like I don't try to do anything, but like it was a weird vibe. Like he kind of felt like how Trey told me earlier this week. Like he felt like he could bully people because of his size. Because I'm 6 foot, 220, and he made me feel small. I mean, he was a big dude, but like I'm one of those dumb people that when I get mad, I don't really care. I don't care, and I just felt disrespected, and I he was staring me down, and so me staring back, when people stare at me and they're mad, and I stare at them, all it does is make my aggression go higher. And I had completely lost it. Like if he would have walked any steps towards me, there'd have been fists, flying and a fight going on, a physical fight. Which I mean, in the end, I'm glad it didn't happen because obviously, like, you got two grown men fighting over a parking spot, but it really wasn't that. It was just more the disrespect of him coming out my way. Trey, did I basically tell this story like I told you? Because it's really hard to remember sometimes, especially after like my anger goes down.
Yeah, no, that's right. You told the story pretty much the same way you're telling me now. A detail that you're telling me that you left out was so you get into this whole thing. It was disrespectful, and yeah, I think the guy was just a bully, and another thing too. And I know you had an incident with a DoorDash driver, and I said something similar. Like I was probably because with him, I was like, well, he probably had a bad day. something happened to him in his personal life, and he probably, and it's not an excuse to just like be a bully and be disrespectful for people. I mean, you had a bad day, so what? You still got to act right, but that's kind of my rationale with that situation, and maybe this guy had a situation to where like something else happened before that, and he just like reacted poorly. So it kind of was what it was. But so Shane, you're telling me that you get into this trouble about a parking spot, and and you follow that up with another kind of parking violation and park in a handicap spot after that. And so what would happen if you parked in a handicap spot and you went to confront the guy and then you walked back out and there was a handicap person talking s at you and say, "What are you doing parking in the handicap spot?" I mean, how would you react in that situation?
I actually would have reacted apologetic. I would have probably been like, if they would have been like, "Hey, why are you parking there? You're not handicapped." I'd been like, "My bad. This guy, blah blah blah. My fault. I'll move for you." Now, how mad I would have probably done said what I just said. But then if they were a jerk about it, I would have. I would probably still got mad and told him to shut the f up because I probably wouldn't have cared at that point. And it's funny though, Trey, because um the next time I went to the gym, there were like 3 or 4 cars of people just sitting in their car warming up their car before they drove off in a packed parking lot. So that's funny. Yeah, Rose said working DoorDash. You're supposed to provide customer service. You got their crap. Yeah, I ordered Uber about 3 months ago from Domino's because they had a fantastic, fantastic deal. I mean, like I think it was like 50% off like the cheesy bread and then like buy one pizza, get one pizza free, and it was super cheap. And these bastards delivered it to a different area, and then the person called me and are like, "Hey, I got your order." And cuz I never got my pizza, right, you guys? So I never got my pizza, and this person had my cell phone number because it's on the receipt. And long story short, I sent proof that I never got it, and Uber Eats was like, "No, we don't believe you." So basically, they charged me like $30 and $40 for it. But what they don't know is the reason why I didn't fight it with the bank is because I ended up going to that Domino's and just being like, "Yo, this is what happened," and then the guy's like, "No, I delivered it." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's my apartment complex look like?" And he couldn't tell me. And then he said, "It's not this," and he showed a picture. And I go, "That's not me." And their manager was like, "Yeah, that's not that apartment." So they made it. So basically, I broke even. Rose says I'm handicapping my fist of that dude's because it's S bag is what Shane would be telling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that was wild though. That was wild. Like I wish sometimes I'd be live streaming for you guys when that happens because you could be like sometimes, "Hey Shane, you shouldn't have reacted that way." I'm sure once in a while like I still react poorly where I could have let things be bygones. But like this time, like I don't know, especially as a guy, like you're never ever gonna like make me feel like you're punking me out. And maybe that's poor on my side. Like, cause like I have a couple people that I know that they're guys and they don't care. I could call them a bitch. Like, "Hey, you're a big bitch, right?" Or like, "I'd knock you the F out." And they'd be like, "Okay." And they'd leave and they'd go home, right? And they'd go home and they wouldn't get in trouble. Whereas, like you said that to me, I might get in a fight with you eventually about it. I might be like, "Hey, don't talk to me like that." And if they're like, "Or what?" Then there maybe a physical altercation. Somebody gets hurt. Somebody goes to jail. Or the couple people that I know that they're just like, "Oh well, names don't hurt me. I don't really care if you think you're tougher than me," and they go home to their family, right? So sometimes it isn't great. And yeah, Rose, Uber was totally horrible on that, but yeah, Domino's definitely balled out for me there. But yeah, so yeah, Trey, it was interesting.
No, it's funny about the whole handicap thing because there's this movie. It was shot in the UK. It's called Ali G, and the guy I forgot the actor's name, but I know he also played Borat, and he's like a really talented actor. But one of the movies he played a UK guy, and in the movie there's a scene where he parked in a handicap spot, and there was another old man that was kind of trailing him, and he pointed at the spot and said, "Hey, I needed that." He just grabbed his leg and pretended to walk with a limp. And I was like, "That's what I'm gonna do if I need to if I need to park in a handicap spot. Just pretend to walk with a limp." So I thought that was pretty
That's
hilarious.
awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty hilarious. But nah, and it's like even me, like, because how I deal with conflict is, and this is kind of how I've been, is I kind of take the whole Gandhi approach to things. It's like, I mean, there's some things you can tell, and I don't know if it's because I grew up with my brother, and you know, and I'm pretty sure anyone that's had siblings that can relate to this, but when you grow up with siblings, they know what buttons to press if they want to irritate you. So I think with that, and then plus it's like I don't really get bothered if you say, whatever. And I also think like if someone tries to bully you and you take the approach of or you take the approach of not really caring, you're like, yeah, dude, whatever, I'm such and such, and that was that. Then I feel like at that point, a lot of the times they'll just leave you alone because a lot of the stuff they do to annoy you and try to diminish you and bully you, they just want to get a reaction out of you. And when you don't give them that reaction, then I feel like they kind of are like, okay, well this guy doesn't get it, or they'll call you the R word and just keep it moving. So that's kind of how I approach conflicted situations. But so going off of that, Shane, you talk about this whole gym situation. So how long have you been going to the gym? And for someone that's watching this that may consider going to a gym, which is something that I probably need to consider doing, going to a gym. So I guess I'm kind of asking for myself too. What are some gym etiquette that people that are new going to the gym that they should follow? And what are some tips for people that want to get started into get going to the gym and all of that?
That's really good, Trey. I like the questions. I've been going to the gym for a while. Not always consistent, especially when before like 2020 and then COVID hit and then I had the back surgery and basically I go there because if I don't, my back's even worse. So I've been going for a couple years like consistently. Um the only times I haven't is when I've gotten the gout flare up on my foot, which like I said, I've told you guys before, that's worse than my back surgery. So I've been pretty good on that. Drinking the juice and all that, the celery juice, the watermelon juice. So far, knock on wood, it hasn't come back in a couple months. But some gym etiquette. I think don't put your bags or your gear in the walkway. Certain gyms really harp on it. Some gyms don't. Another thing is don't play your personal cell phone music or shows really loud. If you're gonna do it, try to get earbuds for it. That's something that you should do. There's also the treadmill. They say you shouldn't stay on it longer than 60 minutes if it's busy. That's another etiquette part. Um, and honestly, some beginner tips for everyone, especially, and it doesn't matter if you're 16, 25, 40, 60. I still say the same thing. Like what a lot of people do is I really can't stand like January 1st to like March 31st at the gym because there's tons of people that sign up and it's not it's not because these people signed up. I just know that they're gonna just not continue, and they're gonna like, I don't know. It gets too busy, and like Rose said, yes, don't record your TikToks in front of people. Like what I do lots of time is I work out, and then I just focus. Like I look at the floor until my next rep, or I look around because there's too much, man. There's too many like areas where I don't want somebody to say that like I'm looking at them, or get caught where they're recording me and I'm looking around and then I go viral for whatever reason. But because I look at people, guys and girls walking by like a lot. So what I do is now I just look down and look at my phone, or I look around, but like just make sure you're not staring. That's another thing I'll tell people. I've seen some old guys staring at women, like overly staring, where I'm like, yo, dude, a little inappropriate, my man. Anyways, but no, but the biggest mistake these people do that sign up from like January 1st to like March 31st, because it dies down. It'll die down. It's happened every year for the last decade that I've gone on and off. Um, is if you're overweight, you bust your ass the first month. Well, what happens is you don't eat as much, you bust your ass. Well, then you get too tired, then you get burned out, then you stop going, then you get, bummed out, and then you just completely stop going. We've all heard this story, slow and steady win the race, and it's kind of true. So, let's just say I'll just make it up. Let's say you're super overweight. Go to the gym, go to the treadmill, hit 2 on the speed, 1 on the incline, and go for 15 minutes. Do that for a couple weeks, and it might seem boring, like, oh, I could push myself, but do it for a couple weeks. Let your body break in, and then you go to 30 minutes, and then you go to 40 minutes, and then you go to 45 minutes, and so on, right? And then you can raise the speed and the incline up. Like I only go on like 3.1 speed to 3.2 speed and 2 incline. And then, when you go lift weights, you don't have to be that power lifter that, just go there and lift weights and feel where you are at. I do about 12 reps, and then I'll do 8 reps, 12 reps, 8 reps of bench pressing. So basically 4 sets of 40 reps, and then I'll do like about 120 to 130 total reps on biceps, and then um I'll do another 40 on a different type of chest workout, and then I'll do an incline press for my arms. But you really don't have to go overboard. It's more about getting your cardio in, doing some light to medium weightlifting. But the biggest thing, you guys, is what you eat, and drinking water over juice and pop. But yeah, it's basically that, Trey. Just basically slow and steady wins the race.
Yes, sir. Slow and steady does indeed the race. And I know Shane's married, so he can't really talk about it. But he's a guy and I'm a guy, and you get into the gym with girls wearing leggings and stuff. I'm gonna cop a look or two. I'm just gonna say that. But again, I'm not speaking to Shane on that. But so you said Shane, you've been doing this gym thing for like a couple years due to your back surgery. So you talk about prior to that, even going back to like your younger years when you were involved in sports and doing a lot of playing outside and basketball and stuff. Was the gym really a thing that you were kind of invested in back then, or was it something you kind of get into when you're later and you're kind of just working in everyday life and you're just trying to, kind of stay in shape? But also, I know you also do like the 3-on-3, the hoop fever and stuff like that. Stuff.
Trey Rose said, "Don't talk about my Pepsi intake." My bad, my bad. I still love my. Look, I'll be honest. Like for me, I drink Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi, so it's not like I drink. So I know what you mean, Rose. You're probably a regular Pepsi drinker, huh? Um, no, I mean, like my mother-in-law said, you can look at the buffet, you just can't eat at the buffet anymore. So yes, you definitely can see girls that are attractive. I'm not dead yet. Just like my wife can see guys that are good looking. She's not dead yet. It's just you don't act upon it. But I'm not talking about like you can glance over and be like, oh, that person's attractive if you're a woman or if you're a man, right? At a gym, you got a lot of in shape people, men and women. It's the overly staring or just the awkwardness. Like, yeah, like there's like sometimes like I said, I mean, there's girls that are recording themselves as they like I don't know, flex their butt or however they do it, stand on their tiptoes. And I'm just like, holy crap. Or like there was a guy that was just completely buff. Like, I mean, ripped, good looking guy. I'm just being honest. And he lifts his t shirt up and he has like a six pack. And he's like, oh, yeah, look at me. Look at me. And he's rubbing his stomach. Like, that is awkward as hell, man. Go home. Go to your bathroom and do that. Like, even the chicks, go home, go into your bathroom and do that. But no, it kind of sucks though, Trey, because honestly, when I was younger, I was never a gym goer. I never was a weightlifter. I was usually, and then we're talking about when I was young, between like 14 to 25, 26. I was always skinny, muscly frame, right? I mean, played soccer, played basketball, played football outside with my friends, but like hours. That's what we did. So I was fit that way. Well, eventually life catches up to you. You get older, your metabolism might not start working as well as it is. And it kind of sucks, to be honest, because I definitely know how my body was. If I was in my early 20s and I was going to the gym like I do now, I'd be definitely in shape, like muscle wise. And it as I've gotten older, I kind of suffer injuries more than, I used to, which sucks, like which really sucks. Like I get in shape, start to get in shape for like basketball. I broke my hand, suffered a foot injury. Then last year I get gout and I could barely play on it at Hoop Fest, but I just bullied through and it's kind of like, my competitiveness might be the death of me, if that makes sense. Trey, I'm never one to back down from competition, but at times I need to I just need to be a little bit, more aware, which is fine. Oh yes, Rose, the cheeseburgers definitely add up. That's why you got to be smart and played a 23-year-old in basketball. Um, he wanted to do 21 for people that aren't don't know what 21 is. It's basically like make it take it. Like if I hit a two or three, I go to the free throw line, I get three free throws. If I make all three, I get the ball back. I can score again and so on. But if I miss a free throw, it's a live ball. I said, why don't we just play one on one? He said, this way we get, our shots up. And this was, just recently. And I before that I could tell he was eyeing me and wanted to play, and I was just like, man, I'm just trying to get back into basketball. It's been basically, since summertime of me hooping, and I had been shooting around for a couple weeks and just practicing my jump shot, and I was, feeling pretty good the last couple weeks. But as you get older, since we're talking about the gym life and all that, you have to get into it slowly. Like at my age, I can't just go run 5-on-5 without, playing for a while. That's just not how life works. I'll either die of a heart attack or I'll tear a muscle, which is more likely for me. I'm not worried about a heart attack, but like tearing a muscle, definitely I am. So I've been doing everything perfectly. And basically, I could feel the guy eyeing me. And he's like 5'3", but he's like 5'8", like 165. So he's smaller than me, which means nothing because if he's faster than me or anything, or if he's just way better, then that is what it is. And I could feel it eyeing me, and in my head, I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really confident in myself. Like, people may or may not know it, but I'm pretty damn confident, especially in sports that I do. And he's like, let's play. Do you want to play? And like, I had a little doubt for the first time in a long time. Honestly, I had a little doubt. Like, do I want to play? Like, I don't want to lose because I hate losing. But most of all, the biggest thing was I was afraid that if I played too soon where I'm cutting, I might hurt myself. And I've been perfect, right? The last couple months, I've been perfect. Of just getting slowly my body back into enough shape where I play. Well, anyways, long story short, we played and I hit like it was funny because I shot a three and it banked in, and he kind of smirked and shook his head, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not dealing with a young dude that like just. But I went to the free throw line. I made all three free throws. I got the ball back because I made all three. Then I hit a three in his face. Long story short, I beat him pretty bad. He gave me props, said you're a really, really good shooter, like good guy and everything. He was a decent ball player. I would say he was a guy that if he was at the park, you wouldn't say he sucked, but you wouldn't say he was great. He was just, he just fit in with the park. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Towards the end of the game, I was gassed. My legs were dead. My body wanted to just be like, you know what, dude, you can have the ball, but like, I like the competition. You guys know it when I play online. You guys can just. I hope you guys can feel the vibes. I'm pretty transparent on what I do and what I say. But yeah, I definitely was like a little self doubt for the first time in a long, long time on that. And it was more because I was afraid of getting a little hurt. He was a filthy actual. Man, I mean, I'm a pretty good ball player, basketball player. Um, not super fast, obviously, not super athletic, but very skill based oriented. But yeah, I definitely like it felt good. Like I felt good afterwards. I went 9 for 9 from the free throw line. I shot pretty well from three. It felt good beating a younger guy and just like I still got it enough. But yeah, it was weird though, you guys. A little self doubt, but my competitive spirit overtook the self doubt.
Yeah, right. And it's funny you brought up the game 21 because that was a game that I used to play. It would be me and like two or three of our friends back in the day, probably like 2012 through like 2013, so like high school days for me. And it's funny because I would play the game, the 21 game. We're not talking blackjack, we're talking basketball. And and I got dubbed the name the Silent Assassin. So I don't know if you know this, Shane, but I wouldn't consider myself a pretty good basketball player, but when I'm out there in the streets of Idaho, surrounded by a bunch of white guys, I was good enough to be given the name the Silent Assassin. So I might be onto something there. But yeah, and it's like even going back to like what we were talking about before, because I'm not one of these people. I'm like, oh, cover yourself up, lady, type of thing, because women's bodies are just built different than men's bodies are. Like men's bodies, they're just gross. Like women's bodies, it doesn't even really matter if like what type of the body is. Like they're just kind of built different than how men's bodies are. So that's just kind of my whole take on that. But Shane, do you think that like knowing what you know now about the whole gym life thing, do you wish you would have discovered it? Like, do you wish that back in the day when you were competing in sports and everything, do you think you wish that you would have gone to the gym more often back in those days? But
Hey man, I'm still trying to get. You're the silent assassin, huh, bro? You dirty like that? All right, I like it, Trey. I like it, the silent assassin. Um, you know, it is weird because like this is gonna sound like I'm bragging about myself, and I'm not trying to. So I'm not. I'm just telling a story, you guys. But like soccer, I was getting looked at by EW. I'm sure you know who that is, Trey. Eastern Washington University. Um,
Yeah, the alumni of not only Cooper Cup, but shout out to Kendrick Bourne for the New England Patriots and also Eastern Washington alumni.
okay, so you you definitely know what I'm talking about. So I was getting looked at D1 there, right? Um, my parents always were supportive, like playing sports, and if I started a sport, I had to finish the sport, no matter how bad I hated it. It was just kind of like build a character, like you're building character. Um, but yeah, Rose, right? Only Trey would know Kendrick Bourne. Yeah, facts. I knew Cooper Cup. My dad loves Cooper Cup. That's like my dad's favorite NFL player right now. But no, so I was being looked at D1 for soccer. I was a goalie. I was kind of small for a goalie. Most soccer goalies are like 6'2" to 6'4". Pros are usually 6'4", so at 6 foot I was undersized, but I was quick with my feet and I was pretty springy back then. The differences with my parents back then is like they wouldn't have paid for a gym membership. So when I lived at home until 19, I wouldn't have, or 20 even. I don't remember right. It's 19 or 20, but they would never paid for a gym membership. I didn't have get her like a first job until I was 19 at Pizza Hut, which I loved, you guys, because I'd be in the morning and I'd cook myself stuffed crust pizzas because that's when it became like they started it at teeny. So I just pound stuffed crust pizzas. And of course, being young, well, at least some people, sometimes you're lucky. Like I could eat whatever back then. But anyways, they wouldn't have bought me a gym membership. They wouldn't have wouldn't have put me in like club soccer, like where soccer goalies are just getting prepped and all that. You know how they have like AAU now for basketball? They run basketball camps. People bring like their football playing kids to camps to improve their hands, to improve whatever they're working on. If you're a QB or a wide receiver, my parents really didn't do that. So, like, for me, getting a coach looking at me for soccer at D1 is a big deal. But like, would I have had even a more of a better shot, or had more offers if I would have been to my parents did camps for me, like paid for me to go to like a goalie camp? Maybe, maybe not, but there's a lot of parents who put their kids in like gyms now to get strong and like buff and fit for whatever sport they're doing, right? And just my parents weren't like that. They'd support me, they'd pay for me to do sports, but they wouldn't do that. So like I never really worried about it, Trey. Like the gym, like I said, I was always playing sports. Even when I was out of my parents' house, I'd play basketball Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday after work. I can still remember the schedule. I'd meet my brother or a couple buddies. We'd play outside against very good competition from basically like 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then Saturdays would be like 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. we'd play. So we're in pretty darn good shape, right? Do I regret not going to the gym? Yeah, I would have been able to build muscle really quick back then. Now my body's like, yeah, I'm building muscle, but at the same time, like, you better eat even healthier. So yes, I do wish that I would have started lifting weights when I was 22, 23 religiously.
Yeah, it makes sense. And, maybe it's college that I'm thinking about because obviously I know when you get to college, they provide you with all that stuff because then I think you're at the point in your athletic career to where you have to start taking some stuff seriously as far as making sure you work out. And I mean, it's like the whole sentiment because even like, people that go out for sports, they always say, well, I'm not going to worry about getting into shape because when I go to wrestling practice or when I go to football practice, they're just gonna do it for me, and that's a big mistake. Like that's probably the worst mistake you can make because like if you know that you have to go to practice and the season is starting, and I'm talking like and I realize I'm talking like I ever did anything in athletics, but this is just my opinion. But like you're if you have to be active and participating in a sport, like try to get some exercising beforehand so that way when your body's not just like what the hell are you doing to me, and all of a sudden you're starting out in 2 days, and it just makes it that much easier if you're doing it beforehand with that. But so like even when you're in high school, like are the high schools different now that Shane, like when you're competing in sports and that kind of thing, do they like hook you up in terms of like getting into gyms and stuff, or is it kind of that whole aspect? They just kind of it's like fend for yourself until you get to college and are kind of more advanced in that regard.
I'm not sure for currently. I know that when I was growing, like when I was in high school, no, they didn't really offer anything like that. And dude, I'm gonna be honest, I was lazy as hell for practice. Like when I was warming up for as a goalie during practice, I was really good, but I was not very practice oriented. I was lazy, so I'd go to there's like a little hot tub where you'd go there, and the high school girls, there's two high school girls who were like the trainers, would like rub your legs down in the water, hot water. So like, I mean, I would, have like a sore leg, wink wink, and I'd go there, and then I'd probably only participate in like 2/3 of the practice in high school. But I mean, I have heard for certain gyms and certain high schools, like the star does get like maybe they can come in early to the gym and work out and to the weightlifting and work out. I have heard that. And I did talk to a high school kid a couple years back from like Mount Spokane where he got to do the same thing where he got to go in the morning. He got a key basically to the school where he could go in. Like he was a great kid and like he didn't get in trouble like at 6:30 7 a.m. and work out from like 7 to 8:30 before the first bell, and then he'd go to school. One of my buddies, Brett Humphrey and Cheney, his dad was a basketball coach, so that probably helped out. He got the gym key so he could show up there in the evening, but it wasn't as like, I don't know, like I didn't really get that vibe when um I was going to. Sorry, I was reading what Rose said. Rose, I will answer you in 1 second. I'm sorry. Um, no, and it was funny because like there was initiation still back in when I went to school. Like we got dotted up with like eggs and stuff, and like it was wild back then. Powder on us, and like it was crazy. Like I always remember like basically I was a freshman and dude, I hadn't gone through puberty yet. I was like 5'2", had my worst year in soccer ever. We had moved up to 4A. We were a small school and we got just blasted, and like I could hear what people were saying, and like I'd go to the gym and I'd sit down on like my little tidy whities basically. And I remember like this junior guy who was on the soccer team, like buff, athletic, and he would be like, "Oh, why are you sitting down?" And he'd try to mock me. Well, one day I don't know if I took his belt or my belt, and I whipped him in the back. And I ran out of the gym bathroom so quick to the teacher to stand while he flew out like he was gonna get me. But it was funny because like I'm not gonna lie, I was scared crapless. Like or like I mean you got to kind of like back in the day especially you had to kind of fend for yourself. Like there was a little bit, I think there was more bowling back then than now. I know there's online bowling and I know certain things, but like even like the initiation at colleges, they don't do the same like they did back in the day, which is a positive, right? Which is a positive. Like I had a wrestler grab me and try to put me in the trash can because he said I had a big mouth in freshman, and he would make sure nobody bugged me if I sat in the garbage of the dirty lunchroom, like the rotten or the dirty chocolate milk, the dirty food that's already been thrown away. And he picked me up because like I said, I hadn't been through puberty, but I kicked that son of a gun over and it went all through on the gym floor. And he showed me respect after and thought it was awesome. It's like, so you had to kind of stand up for yourself back then. Rose, you said not to throw off your lineup of talking points. I know you probably mentioned it. Are you not streaming during the week anymore for Madden? I know you kind of planned for next year's set schedule. No, I, like I said, I apologize. Like I've been pretty busy. Like I've been taking the little one out more, even more so because of the big tournaments are over and it's getting a little warmer, and I want him to, because he doesn't go to daycare and he doesn't go to like preschool. He's 4, he's gonna be 5, he's gonna go to kindergarten. Knock on wood next year. So I'm just trying to get him out and about more and play with little kids, instead of being around adults a lot. But no, I'm definitely gonna still stream during the week, Rose. I know it's been like a week or two, so I apologize on that. Next year, definitely. My goal is to have the best team possible. That way, everybody gets to see the brand new cards and see if they want to buy them or get them for themselves. They'll just get a free preview of me using them. That's my goal next year. And plus, that way I don't have any excuse of my team's not good enough, which I rarely use, but I still want to use the top team. And I will have a set schedule next year for sure, and it will be in the evening. It will be like, I don't know, we'll see either 10:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. We'll see how it goes, but definitely it'll be like Monday through Thursday night, Rose. But yeah, I'm definitely going to still stream during the week. I just gotta, it might not always be consistent, just to be honest. But yes, I am still going to try to stream during the week. And then next year, even though I have the evenings as a set schedule, and I will post it in the community tab. And I mean, you come enough, Rose, that I'll be able to tell you. Um, but even next year when I do Monday through Thursday, 10 or 10:30 to 12 a.m., I still will be doing days just off and on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I got you. I thought it was funny how Rose was saying, "Oh, not to interrupt your schedule," and I kind of find it impressive, Shane, that she's listening to us and she thinks that we're planning these podcasts out in advance and that we have this whole script. So that means to me and you, Shane, that people think that we're out here like professional podcasters. So I'll take it as a compliment. So. But on my end, I don't know what's going on with Mr. Shane over there, but it looks like he muted his mic. Um, so I'm gonna try to fill time
No, 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 you're
until we.
good,
No,
Trey.
you're
I
good, Trey.
was I was
I was
coughing. I didn't
coughing.
want to
I didn't
cough
want to
in the
cough in the
microphone.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay,
I was
I'm here.
listening to
I was
everything
listening
you
to
were saying.
everything you were saying.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
bro. I
we
mean,
we are
we are
professionals,
professionals.
bro. Don't let anyone don't, don't let anyone think differently.
Nah, hell yeah, but I mean that's what happens if you have you get two guys together, two guys that have a lot of chemistry with each other, and you don't really need a script, Shane. When you have that sort of situation going on, you can kind of hit record and kind of dick around together. Major pause on that, but I mean that's kind of the flow of this whole podcast, and I'm definitely liking the less structured format of things. Um, so and I have one more question though about the whole gym thing. Do you think and this made me think of it when you were talking about trainers and all that. So when you go to the gym side of things, because I don't think you probably don't have a trainer. I think you kind of strike me as you like to go in there and kind of do your own thing and kind of do what you need to do. But how beneficial is it if you're starting off going to a gym? Do you think that a trainer is something that you should look into getting, or do you think it just depends on the person if they need a trainer or not?
Um uh Rose. Oh, you're funny, Rose. You make me laugh. Trey, it. I'll say this: if you're not a person who doesn't like to research, because I love to research, maybe too much, maybe annoyingly, like my wife says, I do it a little obsessively on things. But if you don't like to research and you want a trainer because you know what, they research for you, so you don't have to. You have them telling you what to do. Awesome. Me, I hate when they ask me, "Hey, do you want to check your body fat measurements? Hey, do you want to?" And I'm just like, "No, I just want to come. I just want to work out. Thank you, though. I appreciate it." I just go in there. I know what I need to do. I need to eat better. I need to drink water. I need to eat protein, and that can be chicken, that can be steak, that can be burger. Just like they've been figuring out, a burger is just as good as having a protein shake. They have figured out, scientists have now said that is true. Now, obviously, don't go eat Big Macs every day, but once in a while is not a big deal after a workout. Um, but yeah, yeah, I mean, I would say this: if you have the money, like if you're rich, if you're well off, or becoming buff and fit is your whole goal in life, and you have some money, and that's your hobby, yeah, pay for a trainer because yes, they will definitely be taking like fat measurements and um they will do dietitian stuff for you and all that. But I just feel like it's an extra kind of extra waste of money. I mean, like I do give credit. Like, see, I have always said this. I give credit to the fit girls and the fit guys that are not celebrities or sports athletes because they're doing it on their own. Um, when you're a celebrity or a movie star, I mean, you have a trainer, you have a chef, you have all this, and it's easy to get buff. I mean, and it's your job. So, Rose wanted me to know, do you know who Rush Limbaugh is, Trey?
Nah, I have no idea.
Okay, okay.
Do you? Do you?
Yeah, yeah, I know who Rush Limbaugh is. He was a conservative talk show host, and I think he died like I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. I don't remember, 10 years ago. But she just wanted to know if you knew who he was. But no, so yeah, Trey, it's basically like if it's your hobby, right? Like there's this guy, and I mean, there's a couple guys that work out, obviously, but these two guys I'm going to use for the story, and I mean, they're fit. I mean, they tan themselves so their muscles get shown off more. They pay for that. Um, they talk about how they don't drink alcohol. They talk about how they just do, not to me but to each other. And I can tell sometimes they get annoyed about what they're eating and what they have to eat. Like he was saying, like he has egg whites in the morning, right, with some spinach on the side, and then at lunch he has a protein shake with some like veggies, and then at night he has chicken, grilled chicken, and broccoli and rice. And he said he eats that like 5, 6 times a week, and then one cheat day. So picture doing that all the time. So I give these guys and girls credit that aren't celebrities doing this stuff.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that for sure. And and it's hard because like, and I'm not saying this is like going to the gym or like the equivalent, but sometimes like recently, like when the weather's good, I'll go out and I'll do frisbee golf. So I mean, it's not like, I mean, I guess you get some cardio doing that because you're walking up hills and walking and stuff. But and even it's like I get done playing frisbee golf and I've been kind of walking and I'm like, dude, like like I really want to like go to like Taco Bell or Burger King or whatever. And because it's like, you just kind of got done, you feel good, and now you kind of want to ruin it by getting fast food after that. And that's just something that I've noticed. So it's like that would be the hardest thing for me, I think, is getting the that workout in. But I think at the end of the day, Shane, it comes down to discipline. Discipline is the word, and when I say discipline, it's doing the things that you hate to do, but you just do it anyway because that's what discipline is. And when it comes to working out and stuff, you definitely need to have discipline. So
Oh, Trey, hey, do you hear me?
we covered the whole gym thing
Hear
pretty
me?
good. Yeah, what's up? Sorry.
No, I was just gonna add on to it because you said what's some advice, and I just thought of something when you brought up discipline, and it made me think of like the last couple of gym trips. I really got up and did not want to go to the gym. My body hurt. I hurt, and I just went anyways. And by the time I got done, I felt great. And another word of advice is not every day are you going to be able to lift as much as you did the day before. Sometimes you'll be able to lift more. Sometimes you'll be able to lift the same. Sometimes you'll lift way less because you're sore. So, so don't let that get you down.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's just like it's. I mean, it's even just like Madden. You want to become a better Madden player. Well, some days you get on and you can't beat little Johnny from across the street, but you just can't let it discourage you. I mean, I can talk more about Madden because that's kind of where more of my expertise is in. But like if you're trying to get better at Madden and you feel like you have a basic grasp on controls and you think you know what baseline means and you have a better grasp on what coverages do what. And I think a lot of people get the misunderstanding that because they feel like they know more than the average Madden player, that means that they should beat most people, when in reality it doesn't mean anything. Because you can know everything about football, but if you don't play well and you don't execute the plays, then it just doesn't matter at the end of the day. I think that's where you get into the whole toxic people of people saying, "Oh, this guy's a bot. He doesn't know what he's doing." But in reality, if you just don't play, if you don't have a good game, you're gonna get your brain beat in. It doesn't really matter how many blitzes you know and stuff like that. So that's just kind of an analogy that I threw off the cuff to kind of compare to what you're talking about, lifting and stuff like that. But we covered the whole gym thing going well. I enjoyed the gym talk. Another topic that I wanted to ask you, Shane. You're someone that's and I kind of thought of this because you were talking about your first job being Pizza Hut a while back, and I know you've worked multiple jobs. Started with the furniture. You worked for a moving company, and you also did some time at UPS and probably some other jobs thrown in there. But when you look at your jobs that you've had throughout your life, if you could rank them from your best job and all the way down to the worst job that you've had, how would you do that? You would think.
I mean, they all suck because they were jobs, bro. But uh, I'm just being honest. They all kind of suck. But nah, honestly, say, I was a janitor at a private Catholic school. That was probably number two on the list. Number one was H&B deliveries. Even though I busted my hump moving like 300-pound furniture around, I was with my good friend, and it was fun. Like even when he'd rage, I'd laugh, and him getting mad made me laugh more, and then he'd yell, and then we'd laugh together. I mean, that was one of the best times in my life for a decade. Then probably, Pizza Hut was third, and then the last job was USPS, the post office, because they just treated you like you were a number, and they didn't care if you had kids at home. They didn't care if you had a wife at home. So they're at the bottom tier. I hated that place. I hated them. I hated everything about it. The only good thing was the pay and the health insurance, because I don't have health insurance now, but the post office had fantastic health insurance. They paid you very, very well. But if you're always working and you're never home, what's it really matter? You're missing out on stuff for your kids. And they treat you like you're nothing. So that was the bottom tier. And then Pizza Hut was fun strictly because I liked food. So eating pizza was awesome. I didn't really get any friends there, but St. Thomas More, man, I met some good people there. The time being I was there, and I worked with my uncle. That was fun for a couple years. And then obviously H&B deliveries, moving furniture was a blast for the camaraderie with my group that I worked with and stuff inside the truck more so than when I delivered to people. A lot of fun, interesting stories that we'll have to definitely hit on a different day for H&B deliveries. I mean, I had a lady repeat "that's not my sofa" or whatever like 20 times in a row where I started busting up laughing. I delivered to one lady who was in an old folks home that she was knitting. She was knitting a plastic bag. So that was interesting. But yeah, that we'll have to go more into detail of that on a different night since we're winding down on this podcast. But yeah, those were probably in order for me.
Yeah, no, there is one story, and I mean all your stories are pretty funny, but I was like laughing like pretty much the whole day because I don't know if you ever had this happen to where like you'll just be chilling and like you'll have like a random like a funny moment or something that was funny that happened to you pop in your head and you just start laughing about it. But I mean, the one story that I was like laughing about that you told that you told me was about the post office and how you went to you you went to Hoop Fest and then someone from the post office really followed you apparently and then took your picture and I was bro I was just like laughing and I don't know why I thought it was funny but I like look back on it and I was kind of laughing about it for like 2 days or whatever so I thought I would throw that out there.
No, bro,
um
bro, you
but
kind of
there's
look
one
crazy, right? Like when
yeah.
you're like you're just sitting there and you start laughing and people are like, "What the hell is that guy laughing about?" I know exactly what you're talking about, bro, because I do that too. And no, bro, yeah, he had his son videotape me or take pictures from a block away. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exactly that was funny. But I guess real quick, if you could you one quick story before we wrap things up. Do you mind telling the story about when you got the job at Jack in the Box, and if I remember correctly, that was one job where you got hired to work the night shift, and I think if I remember correctly, it was pretty short lived, and you ended up quitting pretty soon into that.
Yo, okay. So they hired me around 4th of July weekend, Trey. Like, I am young, like Bambi eye basically. And they had me come in for a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift, right? And I come in. The guy that I had met online said he'd hook me up with a job, work there. Great guy, nice kid. He was about my age. Never talked to him ever again after that. But I basically go in there and there's like a manager. She's a manager. She's not working there, but her son's working there, and he was not good looking at all. Like I'm being honest. Like I'm not trying to be rude, but like everybody was on his DICK, and he, right Rose to send me down the dark alleys, right? No. So this kid was not good looking, but everybody said he was, but he really wasn't, and it was more because the mom was the manager, and they all kissed his butt because he basically would tell his mom what kind of shifts he'd get. So he dropped a chicken patty. It was like 12 a.m. on the ground, and all he did is pick it up off the ground and put it in between the sandwich and put it in the bag and send it out. It was so disgusting for one. Number two, though, I got so tired and I just wanted to go home. Like at like 2 a.m. we had like these college guys come through the drive-through, and I'm like, "Welcome to McDonald's. How may I help?" And he's like, "McDonald's," and I'm like, "Jack in the Box, McDonald's, whatever." Yeah, it's Jack in the Box, which I was kind of embarrassed about, but I played it off. Um, and I roughly like 3 a.m. I was like, "Damn, I didn't have a license then." I'm like, "I just want my parents to come pick me up. I want to go home, go to bed. I don't want. I'm never doing this ever again in my head." So I made myself a milkshake. I leaned against the counter, and I basically didn't work for the next 3 hours, even though I was getting paid for it. And then I'm like, I quit. Then they tried to get me back, and I just, yeah, man, nope, never went back again. So I worked 8 hours at Jack and Box.
Yeah, no, Shane saw the dark side of Jack the Boss, and he was like, "F this, I'm out." And maybe it was like the whole night shift of it. Maybe that's kind of played a role in it. Because like, I mean, I've worked night shift a few times, in my life, and it once I get acclimated to it, that it's really not a big deal. I'll say this though, if you're a person that works the night shift and you have to go online and purchase curtains to give the appearance that when you go to bed at 6 to 7 a.m. that it's nighttime, you're a beta male. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But so with all that being said, Shane, obviously you got some streams coming up in the past. I'll let you touch on that before we get out of here. And I appreciate the people from Rose that's always in here. We appreciate that. And for the people that listen to this on the replay, we appreciate you. And we'll try to be bringing you guys these podcasts every other Friday. And I believe our next podcast will be March, which is also my birthday. I'm not going to tell you which day, even though you'll probably find out because I don't want people knowing they don't know what year I'm born, so they won't know my exact date of birth, but I'll probably tell them because they'll be like, "Oh, how old are you?" And I'm like, "You got me." So it is what it is. But with all that being said, I'll throw it over to Shane to close us out for this edition of the West Coast Podcast.
I appreciate it, Trade. Yeah, shout out to Rose for being always in here. Shout out to the other people being in here and the people that will play it back. I'm just going to touch on one more thing about a job that I had. So I worked at the Catholic school. I was a janitor. I was also a daycare worker, so I did two jobs there. Um, I always remember they had funerals, open caskets there, right? And I was like I said, like 19, 20, almost 21 when I stopped working there, and my uncle would always be like, "Hey, they're having a funeral. If you don't want to go over there, you can wait until they leave and you know remove the body, and if it doesn't bug you." But like, I'd be like, "Nah, it's fine." And I'd always go, and it's weird. Like, I probably honestly saw like 50 dead bodies, and it never bugged me at that time. At that time period in my life, it didn't bug me. But I just know now at my age, and I don't know if it's mortality. I don't know if it's because I have kids. I don't know if it's because my parents are getting older, but I think it bugged the hell out of me now. Like, I think it'd affect me in a way that I didn't get affected by when I was 19 to 20, 19 to almost 21. Like, I saw, and maybe it's because they were old. Maybe I still wouldn't get affected as much. I don't know. I mean, because I've been to a few hospitals in the last like 3, 4 years, 5 years maybe, where I had to see a deceased family member that was older, and it just like they didn't look like they were sleeping. They didn't. They just didn't. Okay, so and it made me feel different. Like I got over it. Don't get me wrong, but like when I was 19, 20, I didn't get affected as much as I thought that I would. Whereas now I will guarantee you I'd feel a different way. And like I said, it might be mortality, it might not be. I'm not sure. But yeah, maybe Trey, maybe in a couple weeks on the next podcast we can do some cool stories from both our jobs, tell the podcast listeners stuff like that. Since we are in the off season of Madden, and we basically also are the West Coast podcast now. So we talk about all kinds of topics. So it's just not solely focused on Madden, even though we are on a gaming, we're recording, showing Madden. But we talk about all kinds of stuff. If anybody ever has ideas, the community tab is wide open. I really appreciate you guys. Like Trey said, this is Shane and he is Trey, and we'll be back in a couple weeks, not next Friday, but early March. So we will see you guys then. And next week, I will be streaming during the week. So hopefully you guys can tune in and watch me get pissed off at all the abilities that Madden has and watch me bang my head against the wall. So we'll be all right. So this was the West Coast Podcast. Thank you so much.